Yeah, there's always that. So I suspect we're all here. Why don't we open the meeting of February 21st, 2024, the Bristol Energy Committee. And we'll begin to see if there are any citizen comments or concerns. Jim, do you have anything you want to ask, bring up, whatever?
Not right now. We'll see how you guys do.
Okay, well, we'll keep on us. There is one that actually is number 8 on the agenda. That was a citizen concern from Joe Bouvier. When I was with the select board a week ago, talking about EV chargers and other stuff, at the end of the meeting, Joel leaned over and said, I would really like you guys to revisit the natural gas pipeline. And so I think, having been asked to do that, we should discuss it, but I've put it on as an actual agenda item about how we would go about doing that. But that was a citizen concern. Okay, so
I think kind of a surprise
yes.
I was at the meeting too, and I was like, oh. You didn't look surprised. You were very calm.
Well, and Joel and I have had conversations.
Yeah.
In fact, when they reviewed me for, I think it was the Regional Planning Commission, Joel posed a hypothetical that if the natural gas issue came up again, would I be willing to represent the town in a fair way? And I said, what the town citizens, what they truly want is what we have to reflect. It's our job to, I think, provide information, and then I think we would need to survey the populace and see what the actual the feeling is, and then I think we would report that to the select board. But I think that's our obligation, no matter how we individually feel about it. So we'll get to that in number 8. Could we approve the January meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay, second, third, thank you. And is there anything else that you would like to see on the agenda? Okay, very quickly, update on MERP. We haven't heard anything. I'm told that by the engineer who led the team that probably early to mid-March we'll get the report. And at that point, the volunteer assignments, I think, will kick in as we go forward. Update on EV chargers. As it turned out, what we had been thinking, that we would only have to pay $2,000 to install the EV chargers, there turns out to be a cap on the work and installation of $20,000. And so a significant part of the bill was to actually make ready. And it really means that the town will have to come up with about $20,000 in order to put in the EV chargers. So I think there is ARPA funding. Joel, Ian, I think is somewhat inclined to use that, though I think right now there's a bit of confusion because the level 3 EV charger funding has opened up. And I just got an email this afternoon from Norwich EV saying they would like very much if we were interested in doing that. to be a part of it. They would really like to install a level 3, and in fact, we have submitted an application to do that. But we haven't heard back on that. I'm a bit skeptical that we'll get the funding because there's just a little bit over, something like $1.4 million available. And these things are very pricey. And we meet the criteria. We're more than 15 miles from a level 2 EV charger. And so we do meet the criteria, and we applied under what was known as a public attraction, meaning that the EV charger, the level 3, would be the attraction, not us. So that we would look at it as that would be attracting people to our town who would plug in and spend some time. And we certainly can point, as we did in the application, that we have attractions, restaurants and stores and things like that, that are worthy of people coming and spending some time. So, and we're on some major routes. So we'll see what happens. But so far as updates, I also think I'm gonna have to go back to the select board and urge them to make a decision on placement for the EV chargers. They were still discussing that. Is it gonna be in front of the park, behind the park, around the park? And even that has something to do with if we get level 3s, they are really obtrusive. They're about the size of a good sized vending machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so it's certainly not going to be appropriate in front of the park, I wouldn't think. So that brings up other questions. So it's fluid right now. And anybody have any questions or observations on that?
Well, I was at that select board meeting, and after the discussion of the placement of EV chargers around the park, it was brought up that we could potentially maybe partner with a private location like a Pomeroy,
Yeah.
Pomeroy, like parking lot, or I don't know, there could be other locations too. Is that something that is worth exploring?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Especially for the level 3. I think level 2, they're sort of like, well, they're bigger than like a parking meter, but they're not that big.
Not that big.
Not big as the other ones. So
Yeah.
that might be more acceptable in the park.
Move them up toward the end of the park instead of in front of the
Yeah,
gazebo.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
so.
I think if we can get a hearing with Parlo and see how they would feel about it, certainly in Burlington, at least, many of the grocery stores now have EV chargers all over the place as an attraction, and they're even free. So the level 2s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just plug in. I don't know how long that'll last. So we need to keep working on that. So number 6 on the agenda is volunteer assignments. I couldn't think of a better word going forward, but we talked at the last meeting. Now that we have a kind of a full crew, dividing up the responsibilities according to expertise, interest, and so on. And the list is the MERP program, which essentially is going to be a report is going to come in which the work that is going to be recommended for each of the building, along with estimated costs, is going to be presented to us, and we will need at that point to work with the town in setting priorities. Also, there is the federal program that has come out under the Inflation Reduction Act that has varying percentages. They're all over the place for certain kinds of projects. Unfortunately, none of them include things like weatherization or furnace systems or heat pumps. There would be a possibility of geothermal if we were going to produce electricity with it, which is not viable here, I don't think. But it's a strange list of things. It would include EV chargers, level 3 EV chargers. It would also include something that I think is very, we ought to consider, and that is battery backup systems in the buildings so that they could be resilient against power outages, particularly as warming or cooling centers. So the 3 buildings, if they had, battery backup significantly paid for by this grant, this program. And it's a strange program. I'm not going to dig around for the name of it, but it uses the Internal Revenue Service to provide refunds, essentially, that you never paid in. And it's just the federal government needed a way to get money back to organizations, and it's open to not-for-profits, municipalities, tribal lands, all kinds of things. And what happens is you, for example, if we decided to install battery backup as part of the renovation of our 3 buildings, we'd have to pay for it. And then the federal government will refund us a significant portion of that. And this is the wrinkle that kills me. And then we don't have to use it for that. We can use it for anything we want.
Well, because you've already spent it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Right.
it's really interesting. So all of that could come into play with the MERP program, and I know Maddie is looking into it. I attended a webcast on it, and actually, did I forward a slide deck to you guys on this?
On the MERP?
No, on this program.
Oh,
Is this the direct pay program?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yes, you did send that out to us, I think, Richard.
Okay. I'll do it again just to make sure. in
For good
case-
measure, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so, and the slide deck actually is very clear, amazingly. So the MERC program, I think is something that particularly some of you in the field of architecture, engineering, and so on might want to bite into,
Yeah. I would, I'll volunteer to be one of the.
Okay. And it
I'll
is-
help. I'll do it too. I'll do it too.
Okay.
Okay, Ben.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll forward what I know, what I have in writing to you, and of course, when the information comes out, we'll all kind of look at it together, but then maybe you guys can run with it.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Sounds
That'd be
good.
great.
It's good.
Okay, the next 2 are the EV chargers. Oh, by the way, the name of that program, there it is the Direct Pay Program, is what it's called. The EV chargers, level 2 and level 3, I just kind of summarize where we are right now. Is anybody interested in jumping in on that, working with it? Okay, I'll continue.
I'll help with that, Richard. I
Okay,
can help
great.
with that.
Okay, great, good. And then thermal energy networks for Bristol. And this is another project that we need to get in front of the select board. Probably after town meeting day, I would think. We'll have Debbie New who is heading the program in Vermont, is very anxious to come talk, and inform the select board what it's all about, and the possibility of, getting funding and so on to link up a bunch of our buildings in town. There's no reason why the whole Main Street block could not be on the thermal energy network, including Holly Hall. So the big question would be, would somebody like Parmelo allow us to install the wells under their parking lot? You know, I mean, there are gonna be some interesting questions, but I don't know, this is not a hot button issue in terms of work, but is anybody interested in messing with that at all? Sally,
Yeah,
you've been
definitely.
doing some work with it, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know when my term ends. But I definitely want to be a part of the thermal, whether I'm on the energy committee or not.
Well, the terms can be renewed. You know, terms, it's just a matter of there are terms, but not term limits.
Okay,
Okay, so when your term ends, you can re-up.
okay.
And that's why, in a way, it's, you know, not all that meaningful. Except if they want to get rid of one of us, then they can
Yeah,
say.
and I feel fine about another person coming in to just get fresh energy on the committee. But I also would still, if I wasn't on, I would still like to help out with the thermal energy networks, because I'm definitely really interested in that.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna put Sally there. And EV chargers are gonna be Allison and me. And David and Ben are gonna be working on the MERPs, and what we said.
That's what I got written down.
Good. Okay. Okay, good. That was easy. Carl, have you had any more discussion on the Bristol schools and the update on geothermal?
I have kind of taken a little bit of a zigzag in that we have, there's a grant opportunity that I think you sent to me.
Mhm.
And the deadline is fast approaching, so it's a little bit of a race against time, but I have the electrical usage from 2022, annual usage for 4 of the 5 schools in the district. And I'm sending those out to 3 solar companies to get quotes to use for the grant process, and then write up the grant. And is there a grant writer for the town here who could give me a hand with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. There is their name.
She's very part-time.
Okay.
Boy, I don't know. I haven't met her. I've
Okay.
just gotten an occasional email from her.
Okay.
Just call into Sharon and she'll
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one direction we're going with. Surprisingly difficult to get the fuel usage, heating oil usage per year for the schools, but Floyd Davidson has helped me track that down. Once I have those values, I can calculate for each of the 5 schools, the number of BTUs per square foot per year. And that gives you a pretty good gauge of, rough gauge of the efficiency of the building. So it'll generate those values and help us prioritize which school is using the most energy per square foot per year. And that would be the one that we look at, maybe doing some weatherization on or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, good. So I'm gonna put your name, Carl, opposite that one, so we don't forget. Okay, down to this final issue, at least in terms of the agenda. I don't know if everybody's aware of the fact that when the gas line was proposed to come into Bristol, that a citizens group essentially sued to stop it. And the many people in town were not happy with that. Many people celebrated that, but it's been brought up again. We have no idea whether the utility would even be interested in coming this way anymore. They had a hard time coming up Route 17.
Because they're serving New Haven, right?
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
stopped at the town line. But
I think they're not fully serving New Haven, just some on their way to Middlebury.
Oh,
okay,
They don't have a network through New Haven. It's just sort of, if some were on the way, they did something, but it's not like everyone in New Haven has access.
so I know it came up 17.
Yeah, it
Um,
came up, they kept building it until they got to the border of Bristol because
Yeah.
they still thought they were coming to Bristol. And also, Vermont Gas gets paid for all the pipeline they put in the ground. So there was no reason to stop coming to the edge anyway, they're gonna get paid for it.
Right.
And then
So
make it
Sal-
ready. So if they came, they were ready.
So Sally, you're saying that the pipeline does go on 17 all the way up to the Bristol town line?
Yep.
Yeah, yep,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
They had a real hard time getting through one rocky area just before. It
Right.
took them a long time to get through that, blasting through that, but they did it and they got to the border.
Just for my own understanding, is the border, is it of the village or is it of like the whole, like the big square part?
The
The
big,
town.
the big square.
Okay,
It's-
all right. So it's like
yeah.
near, I live on 116, so it's probably just north of my house at that intersection with 116 and 17.
It's a little bit west on 17.
Okay,
So it's not
gotcha.
at that intersection. You
Kind of
could
where
see it.
the-
It's before you get to East Street, but it's,
Yeah.
you'll see the town line out there a ways.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. I want to make sure I wrote it down properly. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So, though, and I have, by disclosure, and the select board knows this, I was one of the people who was opposed to it. And we were hoping, our group, to be able to survey the town, the residents, to ask them what they thought about it. And so we approached the select board to do that, and they, through some manipulation, passed the agenda item asking Green Mountain Power to, or the Vermont Gas, to bring the line in. And then said, okay, now we'll do a survey, which of course made no sense whatsoever. And so at that point, we engaged Jim Dumont, and the project was not entirely stopped, as I understand it. It's kind of, it could always come back. So the question is now, I have given this a lot of thought, that I think we should try to have some information sessions in which Vermont Gas, if they're interested, and environmental folks have an opportunity to speak to the public, and then engage in some kind of a survey, asking whether people want a gas line in Bristol. I don't know, how do you feel about that? I mean, I feel we're obligated to do, to be fair.
Yeah. I think we definitely need to, explore this. And I think there are many things to explore. And I think we could spend a whole meeting talking about all the questions we have about how to explore the thing, but definitely having, like you said, bring people together to talk about it. I guess, just to be clear too, I was also on the opposing side of that. And, one of the things that happened that, you didn't mention, Richard, is that we asked the town if we could just have a vote, or ask the select board if we could just let the town vote, and they said no to that, and that's why we went toward Jim Dumont to have help with that, because it didn't seem fair that so many people were gonna be put in the way of having gas pipelines buried alongside everyone's home in the entire village. After we had just heard about this huge explosion in North Attleboro and stuff. I mean, it was just a big issue. And it didn't seem fair that some people who wanted gas could get it, and we'd all have to be exposed to it that closely in the village. Go ahead.
Jim, go ahead. Go ahead, Jim.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Based on what you two guys just said, it would behoove you to recuse yourself from any investigation into the situation, wouldn't it?
I couldn't catch you.
I
Yeah, what
said
did you-
because two of you have an interest in this, that you basically stop the town from getting it. I think you should both recuse yourself from any further investigation into this. Wouldn't you
Okay.
think that would be fair?
Well,
Okay, and as far as the town vote, there was procedures that I recall why they didn't allow you to do that. There's a certain procedure you have to follow to be able to get something put up for a town vote. Okay, and apparently you two sides couldn't get together on that. So I would say some of you who have an open mind on this, get together and go about it the right way to see if you could get the consensus of the people in town. Because the time that's been wasted now, all the businesses in town on the main drag that need some kind of fuel supply for their business have now not been able to have it. And they've been spending a lot more money on fuel oil and whatever other source they use. We all know about gas being cleaner than fuel oil. So, if you guys are gonna do this, do it right, make it fair. Okay, that's all I have to tell you.
I just want to say, Jim, that I think that a lot of people think gas is cleaner, but the methane that comes out of producing gas is a lot worse for the environment. So it's not better. A lot of us feel that way. So it's not a done deal of what we feel about that. There are
And aren't
people who
they
feel-
also, aren't they also like, aren't places like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're not gonna be selling gas stoves in the future. They're looking at banning the use of gas
That's never
stoves,
gonna
and
happen. Don't believe that.
so
That's not gonna happen.
you don't think that's
No.
true? Okay,
No.
okay, good. I just wondered, because I mean, you
I-
hear all kinds of
Not
stuff.
to cut you off, but where I came from
No, I'm
originally,
fine.
we had natural gas my whole life. Okay, there was never any incidents. It was clean, and we can differ on opinions on this global warming stuff. Richard knows he and I would go back and forth on this. It's all a bunch of nonsense. It's all a political thing. Let's face it. And as far as burning clean, natural gas does burn clean. Where they would produce it, I don't know where they would produce natural gas in our area. I
They
really-
can't. There's no natural
we don't-
gas in the
We don't
area.
have anything in this area, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that should be a concern. If the overwhelming public wants to have natural gas, I don't think we should stop it on those based on those ideas. So just my opinion, guys. Not being confrontational,
Good.
it's something that I believe in.
Go ahead, David.
I just wanted to add, Jim, to your maybe challenge you on your idea of having some of our members recuse themselves. Because I think if we all, I think, I don't know Richard well. I know Sally maybe a little bit better. And I think we do have open minds and we all have opinions. But I think if we commit to a fair process, I think we as a committee, without having half the members recuse themselves out of this issue, I think we can develop a fair process for evaluating whether or not, the town wants it. I think we could, we are able to do that without having
Well,
people
I certainly would
actually
hope
stand
so.
aside.
You know, I would
Yeah.
certainly would hope so. But on the face of it, it would not look fair because two members already have formed an opinion by stopping that gas line. So if you guys think you can do it fair, it's fair, fine. I just want
I
to let
think,
you know.
I think the issue, Jim, is we all have opinions. I certainly do, and I would want our process to air opinions on all sides in a very fair and informed way. I'm not, I don't think whether we recuse ourselves or not, I would have to step into any meeting that we have and voice my opinion regardless. So I think what we want is a fair process where we invite some expertise in to inform the public. Everything ranging from climate science to the factual information regarding various fuels and present it to the public. And then it has to be a matter of some kind of a, we were calling it a straw poll, a non-binding straw poll when we were doing it. And something that would give the select board, who's gonna make the decision, not us, then the information necessary to know what the residents actually want. But it's gotta be informed.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it's gotta be informed.
Yeah, and that would be a way to do it. When I was running the police advisory committee, we had certain issues that came up. And what we did is ask permission of the select board to hand out questionnaires at town meeting day. Okay, so if someone wanted to come in and fill out the form, whether they wanted to go for the issue we were discussing or not, and that was a good guide to see if you should go further. And then based on that, then advertise it, as you said, get some experts in on all sides of it, and have an open meeting for the town to attend, which has nothing to do with town meeting day or voting or anything like that. You know, rent Holly Hall out or use Holly Hall or the high school to have the town members appear and voice their opinion and listen to what everybody has to say, pros and cons. It's the only fair way to do it.
Yeah. And I think we'll work hand in hand with the select board.
Good idea, which you have to, of course. Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, you were talking about term expiration. I think they have you all down as expiring March of this year. So they'll probably be contacting you to renew your.
Yeah, Val asked us to stagger our terms, and I sent her kind of an arbitrary staggering of our terms, so
Yeah,
I think she has it now, yeah.
because we're all at the same time doesn't make sense. I don't know how they came up with that. But anyway, yeah, do
You
it
know-
right, one way or the other. Let the people speak.
Yeah. I think the way that the terms came out is we had sort of, it was, the committee was restarted. And so they just put all the same number of years on that first year or something like that. I don't know why that happened, but.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe the next meeting, let's think about as part of the meeting, a structure going forward for this. I don't think we can have time before town meeting to come up with a survey, but if we have time over the next year before the next town meeting to do this, that would probably make sense.
Just as a suggestion, Richard, you still could do something for this town meeting. Just put out a simple questionnaire to the public. Would you be interested or not in having natural gas come to Bristol? And hand it out and let people fill it out at town meeting. As they come in the door, you have a couple of you guys there. And that would give you a gauge so you wouldn't be wasting more time.
I guess I would like to offer an opportunity for people to really become informed
Right.
before they voice that opinion.
Mhm.
Otherwise, not everybody eats, sleeps, and lives this stuff like I do. You know, so I think we need to provide information, and it's got to be fair. information. We're gonna want the gas company to be represented and so on. Possibly somebody from the Public Utility Commission to come as well. So I think we need to do this in a very thoughtful way. So that what I would like is for people to make an informed decision rather than an emotional decision. And I think I feel that's our job as a committee.
That's good. I was just suggesting that you could just start it off by seeing if anyone would be interested in hearing a discussion on this. That's all.
Yeah.
So you can gauge it that way.
Yep. Okay,
That's another possibility.
yep.
To make it
Okay.
simple.
One follow-up question to that. Do you think it makes sense to reach out to the utility to see if they would be, the gas company, to see if it's possible, if that is I
Yeah,
mean, it
right.
sounds like it's very possible because it's already up to the town line.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
does that make sense, or would you see it more of a, like you come to them and say, here, there's this demand. The
Oh.
town of Bristol, or the town wants to have this, and
Personally, I think we should reach out to them,
reach out
to the
to.
gas company, to see if it's even in their
Yeah.
interest now.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense.
I think that's true because they were the ones who actually pulled out when there was that question going on. And it had something to do with the Act 250 process for them. It was getting to be too expensive or something like that. So they ended up pulling out and, they told the select board, we're not going to do it, So I think it is good to ask them if it would work for them or not at this point,
Yep. And we can check on some expertise too. Okay, that's a good idea. So we will do that. Anything else on this or anything else? Our meetings move right along. So I think for the next meeting, by the time of the next meeting, within the next day or so, I'll kind of transfer information to our committee members now who are going to be kind of shepherding some of these things. And then maybe we can see how that's working out at the next meeting as well. Can have continuous updates. And I would hope by the next meeting, the MERT report would have come in. That would be terrific if that were the case. And maybe even some information from the town on location of at least the level 2 EV charger and whether they want to spend the $20, the $20,000 on it. I think it's very much in the town's interest to do it, but we'll have to see.
Rich, can I ask
Okay.
you a question? The people that have electric vehicles, do they have something at their own home to charge these with now? How
Yeah.
expensive is that?
I think most of them do. It's mainly for people coming from somewhere else and they come here and they shop or whatever, and they
Yeah.
kind of fill up. It's like someone coming here and using the gas station here instead of the gas station at their hometown. It's
I understand
fill
that,
up.
but I personally don't think you're gonna get that big a draw, but I was just interested in how people with electric vehicles charge them now. Is it an expense? How expensive is it for them to have a charger in their own home?
It's actually cheaper and more advantageous if you can charge it at home. You get a much better rate
Uh-huh,
if you entered into that agreement.
right.
But what EV owners, and my daughter and son-in-law both they own an EV and a plug-in EV hybrid. And they are constantly planning their trips around where they can recharge. And that's particularly true of the plug-in hybrids that have 35 mile range. And so for example, if I decide to buy one, I have a hybrid, but we may invest in a plug-in. I can get to Middlebury and back on electric only and charge at home. But if I want to go up to my church in Burlington, which is 30 miles away, I'll get up there on electric. And then I'm going to want to charge somewhere before coming back home, which is much more typical. And so it will be an attraction. You'll see them being used.
Well, as far as you having to go to your church, you maybe just become a pastor and you could run it out of your house.
I'm also gonna just chime in that I have an EV and I have to go to Boston quite often, and I've got my places now, like White River Junction is like one of my stops. I definitely almost always stop at White River Junction because there are some level 2 chargers and there's a site with it 2 level 3 chargers, which are the fast chargers. So depending upon how much of a hurry I'm in, if I'm gonna have lunch there, I'll just go to downtown and I'll plug into the level 2 chargers and get some miles out of that because I'll be there for an hour. Otherwise, if I'm just on my way, I'll just stop in at the fast chargers and maybe get a half an hour's worth of charging or 20 minutes or something like that. So it's definitely a destination because like I'm not going to the next town because this is where the chargers are. Yeah, so there definitely is a destination component to EV charging.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're going a long distance.
It was probably like that back in the days when gas first came out and we just had a few gas stations here and there. You know, people only could go to this town to fill up,
Yeah.
you know, and but now gas stations are everywhere. And
Okay,
slowly. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Cut you off.
And slowly, you know, EV chargers are being put out there so that people have more access. That's just what's going on. It's the same thing that happened with troughs for horses, for water troughs, then the gas, you know, and now it's
All right, Sally.
Okay, so I used to start off a lecture. Was a college professor and I was teaching an energy course. And my first question was, how in the world did hoof and mouth disease result in the decline of the steam-powered vehicle back in the early 1900s? And the question was, people would go out for a Sunday drive in their steam-powered car, which was a wonderful car, but they needed to stop and get water. And they didn't have service stations and things then, but they had horse troughs. And so they would fill from the horse trough. Well, in New England, there was a real epidemic of hoof and mouth disease that affecting horses. And so they drained all the troughs. And people were suddenly finding, whoa, this isn't working out so well. And the electric vehicles didn't have any range at all. They were only good for traffic, for taxi fleets in the cities. And so the smelly, stinky gasoline engine that you, at the beginning, had to go in front of with a lantern, warning people you were coming so you didn't scare their horses and dogs. Okay, that's enough open mouth.
I was just thinking, Richard, if we should, I mean, we were talking about terms, when Sally was talking about it. I think we had our previous meeting, we did, the people who were at the meeting confirmed when they were going to, or what they wanted to have their term be. And I know, I think Ben, you were out, and so Sally, you were out. And so I was just thinking maybe we should just,
they did confirm.
They confirmed, but I don't know what they confirmed. So,
Oh, wow,
so could we just all talk about what
Okay,
our
hang on, let's see if we
commitment is? Or maybe,
if I can find it,
or we could send it out too, I guess.
yeah.
I think I said that March of next year, would be, the end of my term.
So 1 year, that's what I
Yeah.
have down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see, where were we?
And Allison, did you say 1 year as well?
I think we,
I thought mine ended in 26.
Or maybe
Yeah.
you had 2
Yeah.
years?
3
Okay.
years, right?
Then go.
I got 2 more years.
2 years, yeah.
I don't see it here.
I think I'm the only 3-year person that I know about. So I'll be by myself, which is what I like, then I get to do what I want.
Exactly. Unilateral decisions.
The meetings will go so fast.
That's right.
We're rocketing right along here.
No, I know we actually, you have it to 8:30 and it's.
I don't see where I stopped it. I'll have to look it up.
Okay. All
Okay,
right,
so, nothing else for the good of the cause? Good to see everybody.
Good to
Thanks,
see you all.
everybody.
Thanks.
I'll
Thanks
send
for
the
taking
meeting notes out.
Thanks for your thoughts,
Thank you.
Jim.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, and I'm gonna end this meeting,
where I put that.
end the meeting for all.